Joining us now is Dr. Alicia Hart. She recently took care of some of the children who have been taken to immigration detention facilities in South Texas. Dr. Hart, thank you very much. I want to hear your personal experience, but first, are you heartened or troubled when you hear about that report that Nick just gave us about these kids and their parents now being DNA tested in an effort to try to identify them and match them up again?
Well, I hope that we work diligently to get these kids back to their parents. And I think, unfortunately, if records haven't been kept, DNA is probably going to be our only way of doing that and ensuring these kids get back to a safe home.
Okay, so you have encountered some of these kids without their parents at emergency rooms. Tell us what condition they're in and what you've seen.
Well, I took care of one child that really, really upset me. 8-year-old child that had been separated from his family, either before he crossed over or after, I wasn't really sure. And the child was being sent from a detention center to have a medical clearance to go to a psychiatric facility. And he was just very quiet and very withdrawn and scared. And when I approached him, he said he was sad. And I just couldn't get a lot of information. I mean, a child at that age, at 8 and scared, they're not going to give me history. And then, unfortunately, the staff with him couldn't provide much either. They didn't know where the parents were, and they weren't going to allow us to contact the parents for more information either.
They told you they knew where his parents were, and you believed them. But then why wasn't he with his parents?
I don't know.
I mean, this is the problem, is that, I think that your anecdote of seeing this 8-year-old boy who was so upset and just surrounded by officials, some with a gun, it's not necessarily that there are visible physical wounds, but the psychiatric wounds. I mean, he had been apart from his parents for a month, and they said that he was acting out. But what do they expect from an 8-year-old who's been separated from his parents for a month?
I don't know. As a mom, I don't understand it. I don't know what trauma this child had experienced in his home country. I don't know what trauma he had experienced on his journey. But he's here, and we're not helping to fix that trauma, and we're contributing to more trauma. And that's what worries me. I mean, he just made my heart hurt. I looked at him, and I could see my own son and what he would do in that kind of situation. It was awful. I
mean, and I've read your account of this and how affecting it was for you. And one of the problems was that they were saying if he didn't fix his behavior, this 8-year-old, somehow, himself, if he didn't solve his psychiatric problems, they weren't going to send him back to his parents.
They told me that there was going to be a delay because of how he was acting. I was like, well, how do you expect a kid to act when they're not with their family and they're in a country where people don't speak the same language? I mean, this is normal to act that way. So I couldn't reason with it. And it was one of the reasons I started saying something is he couldn't speak for himself and someone needed to.
You are worried that the U.S., that our federal officials are traumatizing these children, possibly for a long period of time.
Definitely so. And I think that, I'm not arguing that we have rules about immigration, but we have to be compassionate towards kids. And can we not find a solution that would be more rational and help these children heal? Whatever solution it is, I'm not an expert in that area, but what we're doing now doesn't seem to be working or the right thing for kids.
Have you seen children with physical problems presenting at the emergency room?
I had a child with an injury, and it was another situation. The providers with them couldn't even tell me if they knew where the parents were. They couldn't give me any details. They hadn't even witnessed the injury. And here I am fixing something on a child where I can't get permission from the parents. I don't know the child's allergies. I don't know the child's past medical history. It was a very frustrating encounter, and it really puts me as a medical professional concerned about consent. And do we have the right to allow others to consent for these children when their parents are known locations?
The people who are bringing the children to you, the officials who are bringing the children who are hurt or who are traumatized to you, do you get any sense that they have a process? Is this chaotic? Do they have the right information? How will they ever find these kids' parents?
I get very mixed feedback. Most of the times they're sent with just essentially babysitters. The child with the psychiatric illness was sent with someone who told me he was a clinician, and that was the only details I could get from him. I don't know what that means. I don't think he was a doctor, and he was very, very evasive anytime I asked him questions, and would frequently answer, "You don't need to know that."
Well, Dr. Alicia Hart, we really appreciate talking to people who have had firsthand experience and who can tell us the condition that these kids are in and whether or not we should have any hope that they will be reunited with their parents in any sort of timely manner. And it doesn't sound good at the moment. Dr. Alicia Hart, thank you for the work you're doing.
Thank you.